let's move forward. Okay, so now I'm going to perform some operations on the string. Okay, so I'm saying select star from employees where first names like means it's more like I'm gonna take some pattern and I wanted to see whether that pattern I wanted to apply that pattern on all the values of that column, and whichever the columns matches with that pattern will come as an output. So here if you see what I'm exactly doing over here is write a SQL query to find the details of an employee whose first name starts with letter S. Whose first name starts with letter S. So when I do this, this is going to give me the results where the first name starts with the letter S. You guys could clearly see this, correct? So the like is a kind of an operator which can be used on string columns to take a pattern as an input and apply that pattern on top of each and every value of a column and see whether for whichever the columns has that pattern, that will come as an output. That means whichever the pattern that matches with the value of of that column will come as an output. Okay, so here this is basically percentage symbol, correct? So this percentage means values, whatever the value that is after to the S. That's what it means. Whatever the value that is after to the S. Okay, that means, okay, I have let's take this example, Sania. So Sania is starting with letter S. So I have ANIA also, correct? Sania. Am I right or wrong? So percentage means consider all those characters that are after to the S. That's what it basically means. So when I say something like this, what will happen? Can anyone tell me? Exactly. So anything that starts with SA will only come as an output. Okay. Now, when I put a percentage here, what does this basically means? What does it basically means? The name includes S. That means it could start with any character for say, doesn't matter. If that has S in between,
it should include.
The S in between the word, you will get that as an output. Exactly. Not necessarily at the starting point. If the S is there in that word, you will get that as an output. Okay. So when I execute this is going to give me all the values which has S in between. So you see there is an S for this, S in the starting, you see S in between for this is S in the starting, you could see S in between this. Okay, I can also put any pattern for say, not necessarily this, correct? So let's say I put SA. So what does it mean? The word can start with anything that should include SA pattern in between that word. It could start with SA or it should include SA in between that word. Okay, or it can also end with SA, doesn't matter. So this had given me the words which started with any character for say but has SA in between that word. So what does this mean now? Ends with SA, as simple as it is. So any word that ends with SA, I am going to get that as an output. That's what this basically means. So percentage, if you don't put a percentage in the beginning, that means starting with that particular pattern. If you put two percentages and put a pattern in between, that means it should include any word, any text that has that pattern in between the word or start with the word or end with the word, and within the text you will get that as an output. If you put ampersand in, if you don't put ampersand at the end, That means you're saying if that particular pattern ends with this pattern, you give that as an output. That's what you're trying to say. Is this clear to everyone? So if you don't give this doesn't make sense, correct? So not going to give anything as an output. So that means until you have only SA, that means you should have exactly SA. This means exactly SA. It's a more like equal to thing, right? You say first name equal to SA. If you don't put ampersand, it's more like equal to. It behaves like equal to. Is it clear? That means if you have only SA, it will give that as an output. If you want to search with a particular name, you can do that, right? So if you know the name of the employee, you can easily say first name is equal to the employee's name. Or if you wanted to do some sort of an, not an exact match, but sort of an search, something like this. You could be able to see that, right? So you wanted to see Sania's information, you can say first name is equal to Sania. So this is going to give you the details of that particular employee, correct? The Sania. Is that what you're asking me? This is how you can do. First name is equal to Sania. Will give you all the information of Sania. Is that what you're asking me, or is something else? This is how you can do it. Yeah. Last name can be anything, right? So I said first name is equal to Sania. This is a randomly generated data. You have huge data, correct? So it's a randomly generated data. So that's the reason you could see a first name as Sania and the last name could be something else. It's a randomly generated data. Okay? Because the gender is also male, female. Yeah, it's a randomly generated data. That's the reason why you could see all these things. Any questions from anyone for till here? What is that? Okay, first name and last name, you should ideally see only one combination. And the last name is equal to Kalolufi. They have only one. Okay. Okay, so what else we can do? So you can say first name starts with S, last name ends with E. That's also possible. You can also do something like this, correct? First name starts with letter S, and last name starts with letter E, ends with letter E. That's what it basically means. So starts with S, last name ends with E. Okay, that's also possible. And this is interesting, right? So I wanted to write a SQL query to find the details of an employee where the first name contains the patterns like RA and YA. That means it could be RA or YA. And the last name contains the patterns like DI and PP. Okay, that means I am trying to find where the employee details where the first name can contains either RA or YA, or the last name can contains either DI or PP. Okay, this is how the query is going to look like. So I am saying the first name like RA or the first name like YA. So try to put brackets over here. Okay. Okay. So now if you see this basically, so if you see this, I'm saying the first name like RA or the first name like YA. It could be any of these combinations, or the last name like DI or the last name like PP. Could be any of these combinations, and a combination of these both could be anything. So that's the reason why it's an OR condition. So when I execute it, I would be getting the results which satisfies this condition. So I could see the first name RA. Does it have RA or YA? It has YA. See here, it has YA. But does this have DI or PP? Doesn't have it, correct? So because this also came as an output because we had put OR condition over here. Because it could be this or this. That's how the OR works, correct? OR is more like if any one of the condition is true, the output will be true. If any one of it is false, if both of it is false, then only the output will be false. So if I put AND, then I'm going to get different result. What will happen if I put AND?
The first two says will not show.
Exactly. The combination of this should be satisfied, correct? So that means my first name should contain either RA or YA, and the last name should contain DI or PP, and both of this should be there in the same row. That means both of this should be in the same row. Then only that will be given as an output. Okay. So let's try to execute it and see whether these combinations exist or not. So there were there. So this has RA and this has a DI, correct? Even last name you see has a DI. And take this has YA, no, RA, this has RA over here you see. And this has DI. And this has DI and this has RA. Like that, this both the combinations should be there. Then only it will give that row as an output. But if I put OR, if one of it has been satisfied, it will be given, you will be see that in the output. But when I put AND, both the condition has to be satisfied. Both of them should be there in the same row. Then only it will be given as an output. That's the difference between OR and AND. Is it clear to everyone? Is it clear? But that doesn't make sense, correct? Both will never be there. AND should be used in a combination of two different columns, not same column. You can use it, it's not a restriction, but it doesn't make sense. Are you getting it? Any questions still here? Is this clear to everyone? Is this clear? It's going to be very important, correct? So I think we are good for today.